Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak and Flow podcast, where we dive into strategies to help you and your team unleash the power of their voice, achieve maximum potential, and flow. Today's episode is all for our empathetic communicators out there. Those of us, like me, who have high emotions and feel all of our feelings and have high emotional intelligence. I want to teach you how to tap into that in difficult conversations or in difficult interactions. Those people that we think are frustrating, annoying, how do we manage that? And that's the topic today. So let's get started. And I'm going to begin with the story that just happened last weekend. I'm in a parking lot, there's open space, and I'm with a friend. And he turns to me and says, "Melinda, would you like to play pickleball?" I thought to myself, I've never played before. I don't know how, but I'm open, sure. And so he went to go grab the paddles, and we're in the big parking lot, and he starts to teach me how to swing the ball and hit the ball. So boom, boom. I'm starting to get it. I'm hitting and swinging the ball back, and he swings the ball back to me. And then because there's no net, he starts swinging a little bit harder. He knows I'm starting to understand how to play. So I swing the ball and I hit it back to him even harder. And then suddenly we're rallying and it's going really hard. The balls are going back and forth, and then there's chaos, and because there's no rules. And so then that reminded me of our interactions are very similar to that. When it's chaotic, when there's emotion, there's no rules, we're bouncing balls and words back and forth. We're throwing words at each other and not really thinking through what is happening or what we're saying. And so today I want us to have more intention, more awareness on how to deal with these difficult interactions with the 4 strategies and tips. I call them the C's. S stands for self-awareness. E stands for empathetic listening. The third strategy is effective communication for E, and then S, self-care. So I'm going to break down each of the tips, beginning with self-awareness. Now, this is where most people don't dive in or don't really quite understand how to break this apart and understand this. Self-awareness means having the self-awareness and understanding of what just triggered you. And not just what triggered you, what is the need within you that is being triggered? For example, the person might have just been dismissive to you. Noticing when that person does that. And that's your trigger. That is what's causing the emotion. Or the person might just have been inconsiderate to you or had inconsistent behavior. What is that trigger, the behavior that the other person is doing or saying that is triggering up the emotion? Take a pause. Then for all of us who are highly empathetic, then ask yourself, go deeper, use your emotional intelligence. What need is not being met? Because that is what's driving your emotion. If the person has inconsistent behavior, perhaps your need is stability and it's not being met. If the person just dismissed you, your need to be heard is not being met. If the person is inconsiderate, your need for respect is not being met. So really ask yourself and have a high self-awareness of that deeper need, because then you can express it and get that need met rather than saying surface level. And then know that when your need is not being met, the other person's need is also not being met, which takes me to the next strategy, empathetic listening, active listening. Let the person know that you hear them. What I hear you saying is that you want me to do X, Y, Z. What I hear you saying is that you're frustrated because you would like X, Y, Z. And then take it a step further. Get curious. Ask questions on what is that need of the other person that's not being met. Most likely, it's either respect, not being heard, or not having consistency in behavior. So really ask questions and get curious from a genuine place, because what that does is then you're going to establish connections. Without this connection, you're not going to have solutions or creativity. If you continue to stay up at the surface level, throwing words at each other and not listening, you're never going to get to a solution. So and if you're up at that level and high emotion, knowing to take breaks. And then coming back to a place of when you're both at a place that you can feel heard and the other person is also able to listen to you and both of you are calmer, then you can start to bridge the gap, bridge the connection, get curious, which moves into the next strategy, which is empathetic communication. Communicating in a way that is collaborative versus divisive, demeaning. Opening up your heart to finding those solutions and going into collaboration. Ask the person, what do you think? What are your solutions? Knowing that both of our needs are not being met, how can we help each other meet our needs? And then establishing clear boundaries. Saying, being very specific about what is the exact behavior or words that trigger you. And then setting the boundaries, being very clear of when it's too much or what is appropriate and what is not to create a meaningful relationship. Then once you have clear, effective communication, connection, if that doesn't work, then you can go on to the fourth strategy, which is practicing self-care. Knowing when to take breaks, knowing when, if the emotion is high, knowing that you might need some time to practice some self-care for both of you. Taking walks, going on vacation, going back to the simplicity of life. That's what I like to do. Keeping things simple. What are the little things that bring me joy? I like to do painting. I like to go walk on that beach and just having so much gratitude that I can have the freedom to do that. And that will restore me and give me energy for the next time when I have to do, not if, but when when the interactions come again, I'm more prepared, I'm more aware, and I'm going to be able to use these tools effectively. And I believe that by practicing and having patience with using these techniques, you can turn any difficult interaction into a meaningful one, a one that establishes connection and brings joy to your life and more peace and flow. Until I see you next time, if you like this episode, please subscribe, like, put into the comments, and share it with somebody. Thanks for being here today. I'm your sister in flow. May prosperity flow to you and through you always.